saying that goes, seek first to understand before being understood. When you look at our world's history, there has been so many evil things we've done to each other based on ideological differences, differences in cultures, differences in way of being, differences even in our physical being, right? Many cultures, many tribes, many people have gone to war because of those differences, because we don't believe in the same things. And one person or one group believes that whatever they believe in is the absolute truth, and the other one must go because those two truths cannot exist in the same world as they do. And why is that? Given again also human history, you find that for most of us to have survived during those times, there was a lot of safety in numbers. So you being the only one holding an opinion that differed from the rest might have most assuredly led to your demise in some way or form. Getting exiled and getting thrown out into the wild where you have to fend for yourself on your own with all these dangers out in the world. No one out there to protect you. It's not the same now. We actually live in relatively safer times compared to our human history, right? But still, that instinct to survive, which is attached to egoic need to, survival instincts and all of that, we still haven't let that go. So we still have this perception of safety in numbers, right? Having that ideology that if the people around me believe in the same things that I do, then I'm safe. That's my perspective, by the way. But here's the thing, especially in the world we live in, where we're having so much division happening online. The world has been opened up to us with the internet, and every single person has the right to actually sit here and share their opinions with the world, whether they might be controversial or not, which has now led to another problem of, because of again the cultural differences, the differences way of looking at things, our different belief system, our different value system. Obviously, if you share certain topics, you're 1,000% gonna most likely encounter people who don't agree with that because they have a different perspective on life based on how they were raised. But how do you navigate this world that we're living in right now? By not giving in to more ideas that just seek to divide us, to disempower most of us, to judge others, to attack others just because they hold a different opinion of us. How do you navigate this world, especially if you're working to develop yourself, if you're working on yourself to be better, which I assume is why you're watching this video. So we're going to be diving deep into this. So hi, my name is Eva. I'm a certified soul alignment and quantum flow practitioner. And basically, these two modalities help you in releasing your emotional, your mental, your energetic blockages, based on all your past emotional wounds, past trauma, your past story that have been keeping you stuck, repeating the same recurring patterns of strife, of lack in all different areas of your life, creating so much dysfunction in your health, in your relationships, and all of that. And basically, what these two modalities do is that they help you actually get to the root cause of why certain events, certain experiences keep showing up in your life, help you identify how you're actually contributing that. Because again, the first step to healing is always by taking responsibility for how we created those situations, right? So helping you identify the root cause of those issues. And then after that, giving you, first of all, an energetic healing just so that you're no longer vibrational match to these things, but also giving you the tools on how you're not going to navigate the world going forward so that you're making choices from a place of empowerment, not disempowerment. So I'm going to be sharing more on this at the end of this video and introducing you to my beautiful 6 weeks program. So back to today's topic where I'm going to dive into this beautiful idea of staying wonderfully curious. I will say that, and I've said this multiple times on this channel, that a lot of the ideologies that I'm currently tapping into, had you introduced me to them as little as 10 years ago, maybe even 5 years ago, I would have thought you were pretty crazy. And I will probably judge you for having this kind of ideas. And funny thing is that I actually face the same kind of judgment from others, which is okay because I understand how they're approaching it, right? Because again, I was one of them not too long ago, right? So I do understand why they may not be able to understand my ideologies right now. So complete respect for that. But again, growing up, the things that I'm exposed to right now, we didn't have access to this information. So a lot of the things I'm learning right now were not things that were easily available to me. But the reason why my mind has been so open and curious and wanting to soak all this information is because I dare to be curious. I dare to ask different questions. Because something inside me made me believe that maybe there was a different perspective. Maybe there are different ideas that I hadn't discovered yet. And it's this curiosity that has led me down this path to find my incredible teachers, the incredible teachings that have been so transformational in my life. Hopefully, I get to give to you one day if you become one of my clients, that is. But the reason why I was able to have the courage to go beyond what I known to be true was because I was so curious. I wanted to learn more. This is not the same for most people. Most people have this attachment to their egoic self identity because that's all they've known. They have such a strong attachment to their religious background, their cultural background, that to even tell them that there is a world beyond that, that there is a different way of living in this world that does not have to do with what they currently believe in, they can't even begin to entertain the idea. It just seems ridiculous to them. And the result of that is they attack everyone who dares to show them or talk to them about that, tries to show them a different way of being. They attack them because again now it triggers that egoic self-attachment, that attachment to their self-identity. Because once they let go of this thing that they've been attached to, this identity that they've been attached to, then who did they become afterwards? And that's scary for most people. It is so scary. In fact, if you're on this healing and transformational journey and you've been seeking answers for yourself, I want you to actually just pat yourself on the back because it takes real courage to do that. Not a lot of people can do that. So if you're on this journey, and I know it because it's not an easy thing, it will mean that you have to let go of so many aspects of your being that no longer resonate with who you're trying to become. And that's not easy for most people. So same thing with this topic. When people have this egoic self-attachment to their self-identity based on how they've been raised and all of that, it's not easy for someone to actually let that go. And because their egos need for survival at all costs, it's going to do whatever it takes to protect that self identity. Because to the egoic mind, losing this identity is losing myself, and I can't die, right? That's how the ego thinks. So I'm going to do everything in my power, trigger your, whatever emotional responses I need to trigger in you just to get you not to take whatever action that you need to take that will help you release this self identity, right? Now, I will also say this. It is okay to have a difference of opinion with other people. I don't certainly always agree with everyone I listen to or everyone I talk to. Sometimes we're on completely different paths and different ways of viewing the world. But what I've come to learn throughout all my experiences is that there's always something to learn in that moment. If you're willing to just release that egoic need to be the person who knows it all and all of that, there is so much you can learn from every single person that you encounter. I mean, I learn so much from everyone I meet, and that even includes my little nieces and nephews, who just by their way of being, sometimes you know how a kid can just blat out something out of the blue and just hits you like, how do you know that? I had so many moments of that, but I'm not going to approach it with an egoic need like I'm the adult, you're the child, you listen to me, and you can't tell me anything. I sit down and actually reflect if something that they share actually touches me in a way. There's a reason for that. That was the best way that the universe could deliver that particular message to me. So any room I walk into, any meeting I have, it's not always to try and prove just how brilliant I am. Yes, there might be brilliance sometimes in the things I share, but it's also to stay humble enough to say that I don't know everything. I don't understand everything. And everyone's lived experience matters. So yes, I will sit down, I will listen, because there's always a lesson to learn, right? That's always the mind I have. I'm very curious. I want to understand why you think the way you do. So again, seek first to understand before being understood. Because now what most people want to do is that you want to push your ideology on someone else and make them believe in what you believe in. And by doing so, now you create this kind of dysfunction between your relationships. Now you can't coexist with other people just because they dare to think differently from you. So before you go into, to raise your your torches to go and, attack this person, why don't you sit down and understand why do they think like that? What's the reason behind the thinking? Because there's always a story behind that. But you'll never know because you go on attack mode the minute that they dare to share something different. You don't know their backstory. You haven't walked a mile in their shoes. And yes, maybe their background might not be strong enough to support their ways of being, but there's a reason behind that. There's a human being behind that. There's a whole life behind whatever belief system that they're sharing with you. So, how about you try and understand where that person is coming from and their perspective and why they're so attached to that belief system or that way of being before you go immediately and attack them. So it might be completely different from your value system. It might be completely different from your belief system. But what makes you think that what you believe in is the absolute truth? Can any of us actually raise our hand and say, this is the only way of being that actually is the only truth in the world? Obviously, there are a lot of people who might argue with me, especially when it comes to, religious beliefs and all of that. And I'm not going to be diving into that. But I'm just saying, they don't actually know. For most people who have this attachment, it's simply a matter of faith that the path I'm on is the right one. It's just simply a matter of faith and belief system, very strong belief system, which again is backed up by the people around you and by society who keep on reinforcing that this is the only way of being and all of that. But in actual reality, none of us actually knows if whatever we believe in is actually true. Actually, the best way to know is you look at your own life and look at the results that you're creating for yourself. Because if at all, whatever you believe in is supporting you to live a more balanced, like creating more of what you want, then by all means, your belief system is working for you. But if you can look at your life right now and things just don't seem to be working, you can't say you have peace. Your relationships have like there's a lot of drama and upheaval in your life, emotional, mental baggage, and all of that. Then maybe that's a sign that you need to start questioning your current belief in your value system. What are you paying attention to? Is this actually serving you? So, a brilliant way to reframe this that whenever you have this idea or this belief about something, ask yourself, how is this actually serving me? How is this helping me create more of what I want? For example, if your entire belief system, we see online, this whole conversation of men versus women and all of that, well and good. But if your current belief system is that men need to be this kind of people, to prove their masculinity, or women have to be this kind of people to prove their femininity and all of that, right? Ask yourself, everyone can have an opinion, okay? If you're choosing to believe that for yourself and choosing to adopt and act with that kind of mentality, does it help to create more of what you want? Do you wake up every day and you look in yourself and you're happy how your life has been or what you've created or the kind of relationships you've attracted based on this belief system? If you can 1,000% say that and you're truly genuinely happy and at peace and you can look at yourself in the mirror and all of that, then by all means, go for it. The problem that I have with this thing is when you're now trying to force this ideology on other people. I'm not saying don't share. Share your ideas because you'll always find your tribe somewhere. You will. But don't make it seem or judge others for holding a different opinion apart from you and trying to make it seem that whatever they believe in is wrong and what you believe in is the absolute truth. It's the absolute truth for you because that's your lived perspective and you can see evidence of that because that's what you believe. Remember, your outer reality is always a reflection of who you are on the inside, whatever you believe to be true. So if you believe that all men act a certain way, or all women act a certain way, the universe has no choice but to actually prove that to you. So guess what? Everything in your environment will be a vibrational match to that. The things you watch in your movies, you see in your songs, you see online and all of that will always be there to support that belief system. Keep that in mind. So you'll always find evidence for your truth, but that doesn't mean it's the absolute truth. And if you don't stay wonderfully curious about life, and you're 1,000% convince yourself that this is the only way of being, then you kind of like limit yourself from what else is actually possible for you. We've seen examples of so many people who were raised to think a certain way, be a certain way, and then they get to a certain point in life where life has become too hard and they start asking themselves, this can't be the only way. And because of that, they start looking for answers outside of their circle. And now all of a sudden they discover a whole new way of being and they can't even imagine how they used to believe in what they used to believe in. Doesn't make sense to them. And this is literally what life is about. You have to learn, relearn over and over again. So don't hold on to this egoic need to be absolutely right all the time. Stay wonderfully curious about life. Ask questions. And again, ask yourself, if I'm choosing to believe in this, how is this serving me? The other question I'd love for you to ask is, what changes in my life when the other person believes in what I do? The reason why I want you to ask yourself this question is that sometimes people share things online that might be controversial, triggering for so many people, and there are all these people commenting and sharing their opinion and all of that. Okay, fine. So assuming this person that has shared this controversial thing decides to agree with you, maybe decides to change their ways, and all of a sudden now they're singing to your tune and your belief system. What actually shifts in your life? Do you suddenly wake up and you're much healthier? Do you wake up and you have the best relationships in the world? Do you wake up and you have all the money you can ever want? The truth is, nothing actually changes in your life. So why have this attachment that they have to believe in what you believe in? Where does that need come from? That's something only you can answer. If you're being truly honest with yourself, any other person's opinion has absolutely no direct correlation with what you're currently going through. Now, that can obviously be different, especially based on the people around us. That's not always the case. Because again, we've had stories of people in families who have completely different ideologies. But if you're your own person and you're choosing to go against the grain, doesn't mean that just because your family doesn't believe in the things that you do, you're never going to succeed in life and all of that. That's not the case. You can actually survive really well with or without their support. In actual reality, other people's opinions do not have to affect your own life unless you allow them to. So this whole waking up and deciding that you're gonna wake up and just spread hate towards a certain person who holds a different opinion from you doesn't actually serve. If anything, it's keeping you in that vibrational element where you're constantly now gonna be attracting things that match the hatred and the anger and the disappointment and the frustration you have towards another. Because again, your outer reality will always be a reflection of what you believe inside. So if you're constantly putting out the negativity, guess what? The universe just mirrors that back to you perfectly. So don't think that you waking up and deciding I'm gonna hate on this person because they believe in things I don't believe in is serving me. It's not so. Anything's actually making your life worse. So if you don't agree, that's okay. You don't know their past, you don't know what they've been through. Let them be. We have the block function that's available on most apps, right? Block them. If you don't want to see their faces and you can't handle what they say and it's triggering for you, block them and let them be. It's their path. We're not on the same path. That's the best way that they could figure out the lessons that they needed to learn for their soul path. Doesn't have to do anything with you. So I'm gonna end this video here, and I want to know your thoughts on this. Examine your current belief system. And I want you to ask yourself this question: what's one belief that you're currently willing to maybe hold more lightly and maybe bring a little more peace and happiness in your life? What's that one thing that you can choose to stay curious about rather than holding on to this identity and this belief that you've had about this your entire life, especially if it's not serving you? What's that one thing that you can start releasing today? So let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Subscribe to the channel, click on the notification bell so that you don't miss out on any time I share any kind of content on this channel. And I did promise I was going to introduce you to my 6 weeks program where I'm going to be working with you one-on-one to help you dive deeper into transformational work that will actually help you release this egoic attachments and help you step into profound wisdom. This program is specifically designed to just help you release whatever has been keeping you stuck. So you're going to be utilizing soul element and quantum flow to help you release what kind of challenges, help you get to the root cause of the kind of patterns that have been showing up in you. Why do you keep on attracting the same people, same experiences over and over again? There's a reason behind that. And with this program, you're going to be getting to the root cause of that. And I'll be giving you some tools that you can use to help you navigate your world much easier moving forward, creating your life. So again, not for everyone, and this discovery call is a beautiful way to filter out who the program is for. So if you're curious about this, do book a discovery call with me. I'm hoping I will see you when I see you. So see you on the next upload and stay wonderfully curious about life. Bye for now.